Hey, we back. I'm talking about moderation commands today and how to get them used as well. Because obviously there is, as much as you may not be able to use them yourself, there is a lot that you can do with moderation commands without actually having perms for them. Noticing these kind of things is important. There's also a couple of little tricks that you can do to try and convince people to use moderation commands for you that do have permissions, so that's helpful. But yeah, let's get into it. We'll start with the Kakura based ones because that's probably what most people care about. So for example, you've got things like Kakura reset, Kakura refund. Now here's a little trick already. Calling it Kakura reset is much more likely, in my experience, to persuade an admin to use it. If you like ping an admin and say, hey, reset my badges, the command is Kakura reset, they'll be like, I've seen so many people just assume it wipes your Kakura. Obviously it doesn't. But people are more than happy to run these kind of commands if it's going to reset your Kakura. Whereas if Kakura refund, they assume some sort of exploits going on. A lot of the time people do. So if you are not the admin, you probably want to be calling it Kakura reset, just to get yourself on the good books. But yeah, this is a very important command. As it says, refund the Kakura to the user of invested badges. Now this is hugely abusable if you know what you're doing. So if you want to go all out with your Kakura, especially if you have permissions for it, then this is a great way to do it. So for example, you can do things like max out bronze 4, wish for a bunch of characters, and then reset your badges. You still keep the wish slots, right? You can do things like buy Emerald 1 when you roll somebody, and then reset your badges and put the Kakura back into some other badge, right? You can do things like buy Sapphire 4 every time you're going to roll. You know, even upgrading Emerald 4 just for when you need a bit of a boost on the cooldown, then resetting your badges and putting it back into something else. All of this kind of stuff is heavily abusable, and personally I can't be bothered with it, but if you can, then, you know, go for it. There's a lot you can do. But the most important thing to do is to make sure that once you've got enough Kakura for it, to reset your badges and buy out on Ruby 4 first. A lot of people will tell you to go for Ruby 4 right from the start. That is not true, because yes, you get your 25% badge reduction, but you lose out on a bunch of Kakura that you would have been getting from Gold 4 and Sapphire 4 instead. Right, it's not worth it. But what is worth it is going for Gold 4 and Sapphire 4, and then resetting your badges and maxing out Ruby when you can afford all 3 of them. You buy Ruby first, you'll normally gain about 20,000 Kakura for free at that stage in the game. It's pretty nice. So yeah, Kakura refund is a very good one. Other Kakura based moderation commands, things like the scraps, Kakura scrap. Now, getting admins to use this is going to be a lot harder, because obviously they're not just going to give you Kakura for no reason. But if the server does have some scraps, which it probably will, this one doesn't because it's just me, but a public server is probably going to have some scraps. You can suggest like events and stuff. Kakura scraps as a award for winning an event is great. A lot of servers will do that, and if your server doesn't consistently, feel free to suggest them, and then try and suggest an event that you can win, and get some free Kakura scraps. So that's always fun. There's also the remove Kakura, which is a lot more moderation based. Let me just check I didn't forget anything. I got the help page up. Here we go, the Kakura stuff. Oh yeah, you've got like badge values and stuff. You can try and convince people to put more badge values, lower badge values if you want, and if they do, make sure to reset your badges and rebuy them, because that'll get you a lot of Kakura. But that's very server dependent, and you have to persuade them that it's a good idea. I'll leave that down to you, because it really does depend on the server. But yeah, that's all for the Kakura ones. I'm going to skip over the customization ones, because I've got a video about them already. I'll put it in the description, as well as the What was the other type? There was another one. Oh yeah, the settings and stuff, setting up a server and all. That I'll also have a video on, so that'll also be in the description. But then the other one is the actual moderation commands in moderation category. So let's see if I can remember them all. You're going to start with the obvious ones like divorcing and resetting and all the rest of it. Forced divorce. This is something that you probably won't be using, and in fact very few people do use it as far as I'm aware, because divorcing one character is normally not particularly helpful. You may need to do it if someone's being particularly budgy with rules that you enforce manually. For example, on here we used to enforce basically a toggle snipe manually. We don't anymore because I took over the bot and I actually put the command in, but before that they didn't know what the command was, so they enforced it manually. Forced divorce was used a couple of times for people that were breaking the rule. And stuff like that, but yeah, as it says, it just divorces a character off someone else. It doesn't give Kakura, mind. So yeah, there's normally not much cause to use it. But yeah, there is that. What you're more likely to be using is resetting an entire harem from someone. Say if they've left. This is an important thing to know if you are a moderator on a server. LU, obviously nothing comes up here, but let's go onto a public server and type it out. Here we go. We get LU. There you go, you've got a few people here with a couple of characters. So this is someone that's left. They've only claimed 2 characters and the last one was 35 days ago. So I could clean that. It says clear, not clean. My bad. So I could do something like that. Right. He's not here anymore. Only claimed 2 characters. It was 35 days ago. Another thing you've got is, as it says, clean user, left users, clean everyone listed. So let's do that. It'll just remove the wishes because he was the only one there. Huh? Oh, because that removed the wishes anyway. Oh, okay. So yeah, that does nothing because there's no one left. This ID has been removed, there's no one left. We can use this as an example though. Clean Kakura left users. Let me just check if when these people were last on. Make sure it was long enough ago. Oh, that's the same guy again. Makes sense. And then this is someone right at the bottom that never did anything. Yep, sounds good to me. Let's just do that. Confirm. There you go. So Kakura has now been given, and we should have some Kakura scraps, which we will have had already, to be fair, but is it not plural? I guess it's not plural. Kakura scrap. There you go. We've got loads of Kakura scraps on here because it's a big server, and some extra will have been added now. So there you go. Anyway, that is that. Now you've talked about removing harems from someone. You can do clean user and then their ID. They don't have to be on left users for you to do that. It can be anyone you like. And then you can force divorce a bunch of people, you know, or whatever else you feel like doing in terms of removing stuff. Then you also have the standard Thanos and Bites the Dust. So let's put them in. Thanos will randomly divorce half of a user's harem. Oh yeah, that's user specific. So I don't know if you want to punish them for something, divorce half their harem. I don't know why you would ever do that, to be honest, but sure. There you go, that's the one that people will use. Half of everyone's harem. So yeah, I'm not going to do that, obviously. And yeah, this is completely random. I've never used it, I've never seen anyone else use it, and I don't advise that you use it because worst case scenario, you divorce all of your high ranked stuff and then there's one guy that only loses his low ranked stuff, gets really lucky, and then suddenly just dominates after that. Yeah, it's unlikely to happen, but it's possible, isn't it? And somebody will lose out more than other people, that's for sure. So it makes it very unfair. It's completely luck based, which I don't like at all, so I wouldn't use that. But Bites the Dust is perfectly doable, something that I use often. all of the waifu and husbando instead of just half of them. Here's where we get to making sure people are using commands again. Making sure an admin's using Bite the Dust. There's a lot of ways to do that. Point out the amount of stuff that's claimed. Doing things like Toku to show, oh, there's nothing left in the top 1,000,000. Oh, sort it out. Or something like left, and be like, oh, there's 2,000 characters claimed. You need to reset. You know, whatever. And then if they, a lot of the time, the only excuse admins will have to not reset if there's a lot of people that want it. Is that, oh, there's such and such character that's still left. You go claim such and such character, get them on their wish list. Even if it's some low rank character that the admin just wants or something, you know, they're just being a selfish boy, you can just, you know, go get them. And then they'll always reset right after that, especially if you keep claiming their wishes and stuff. And it's not a nice thing to do always, but if that's what you want for your reset, then you can do stuff like that, be sneaky like. But another thing you can do is make sure that they use Requiem. A lot of people don't use Requiem. They don't realise the necessity of Kakura. I mean, a lot of small servers, if your owner doesn't play on the bot, for example, they probably won't add Requiem. You need to make sure they do, because it's really not... Bites the Dust is just kind of bad without Requiem. It has a cooldown for a reason, but yeah, you don't want to really be resetting stuff and not giving Kakura for it, otherwise it makes the whole thing useless, doesn't it? So yeah. The only way to do that is just to pester them into it, I'm afraid. Point out that it exists and give excuses for why it's something that you want, you know. But yeah, make sure they're using Requiem. And of course, if it's you that's doing it, if you own the server, use Requiem. So there you go. So then, let's see. We also have other clears, like the clearing wishes, clearing aliases, stuff like that. But you know, that's kind of self-explanatory. Only really used if there was someone messing around with that stuff, putting like I don't know, weird aliases. That happens sometimes. You can reset all of the aliases for a certain character and stuff like that. So yeah, left users I talked about. Another thing, since we've discussed a lot of divorcing stuff, forced divorcing, mind, and resetting and all the rest of it, we also have the restore list. So we can see what was divorced. Here everything is restored, because of course it is. This is when I do reset on here, and everything gets divorced and then put back again. So yeah, every 15 days or so. It's not very consistent. I mean, that was... it's actually not bad. It's not bad. That was like 23 days instead of 15, but yeah, anyway. Point is that this stuff can be restored after you've divorced it. You've got restore, like that, and restore user, like that, and yeah, self-explanatory really. What you do have to notice there is the 1 at the end. You don't have to put the hashtag, so don't worry about that. But like, yes, you do still need to put the number. So that's the most recent entry in restore list for that user, right? And then you can put RL user ID to see the corresponding hashtag. So for example, if I put dust in here, there you go, you can see 1, 2, 3, and I could restore any particular action here using those numbers. If it's the most recent action, it's going to be 1, so that's probably the number you want. But like I say, you don't need the hashtag. And then there's also restore. There's apparently restore series, which I honestly didn't even know about. There you go, series to restore from the restore list. Sure, I don't really know what that would do, to be honest, or why you would use it, but feel free to test it out. But yeah, restore and restore user are particularly good if you want to restore particular characters or particular events to a particular user. So yeah, there you go. Then we also have restrict and channel restrict. Very important commands and very abusable. You've got to be careful. If you are a server owner, giving out restricts is, you know, it can have a big effect. So for example, you can see I'm clearly not the owner of the server. I'm a mod, but I'm not the owner of the server. However, I can run Bites the Dust, I can clean Kakura and clean user and whatever else, right? How is this possible? Well, we've got restrict user, I think it is. What was the command? Maybe just restrict. I don't know. I can't search either. Okay, whatever. Well, the owner of the server did a restrict on all mod for me, which basically gives me permission to run any command, including the owner commands. If we have a look at restrict, all mod there, all the commands restricted to moderator, admin, server owner by default. Right. So if you give someone this, they can run every command. Right. So you've got to be careful with this kind of thing. Normally, you just want to be doing one command at a time. You've also be careful giving people permission to use restrict, because they can totally give themselves permissions that they don't have. If you give someone permission to do restrict, they can just do restrict all mod on themselves. So yeah. Also notice that you need a role ID here. So you are going to need to give them a role for this to actually work. Technically it's not restricted to me, it's restricted to my Kakura King role here. It's just that that's a unique role for me, so there you go. You've got to give out a role to someone if you do want to be using restrict for them. Or obviously you can use it to restrict, a certain role if some people need to be able to do certain things. You can also do channel restrict in the same way to limit stuff to certain channels. So for example, on here we've got channel restrict on Mudae, so that Mudae commands can only be typed in the Mudae channel. I think that makes perfect sense. So yeah, there you go. You can also do things like if you want to have a separate channel for roles and for poke slots or something like that, you can set that up with channel restrict. And then you can also do things like, okay, only people that I don't know, maybe you've got like Me6 in your server and you say, okay, if you've hit level 20, you can add custom images to characters. You can do that with restrict, if you've got a level 20 role. Stuff like that. Pretty good all in all. But it's a very useful command, but you do have to be careful about it. It's more finicky than the actual Discord permissions. So yeah, be careful with it. So yeah. What else is there? I've said a lot. I'm going to continue, so don't you worry about that. I just did it again. Nice. Finally, we've got, I guess, give custom. Yeah. Which is self-explanatory. Give someone a custom character if you have customs in your server. We do not here. No customs. But, on the other hand, we do over here. So I could do give custom and give one of these random characters to a player on the server. Right. So, yeah. That's nice. Custom characters obviously aren't worth anything. Like, you don't even get stuff for them on... you might get stuff for them on Bites the Dust Requiem, but you don't get stuff for them on Divorces. So you can't use it for Infinite Kakura. Bites the Dust Requiem obviously having a 15-day cooldown, so you're fine there. And customs are worth very little anyway. Basically the minimum amount that anyone is worth. If you take the rank of the lowest ranked character in the bot, that's how much customs are worth. So yeah, not much. But you do get that Kakura for claiming them with Emerald 4, so, that's cool. But anyway, we're talking about mod commands, so yeah, give custom isn't giving you anything, but the custom character, obviously, which is probably what you want out of a custom, really. So, yeah. Anyway, we've gone through all of them now. I'm pretty sure that's the whole list. So, yeah, I'll leave this one here. Bye!